Welcome to Strong Dads. Hey, this is Merrill Hutchinson, and I hope you guys are all doing well. So I got a super exciting summer coming to you from Strong Dads this summer. We're starting a series, and the series is called Summer of Rehab 2024. Faith, Family, Fitness. And let me give you a little bit of background on where all this comes from. If you guys have been listening to me at all, you know that my knees have been bothering me. About 3.5, 4 years ago, I had my right knee replaced. And after that, I said, well, in about 6 months, I'm going to replace my left knee because it was as bad, if not worse, than my right in terms of how it was aggravating me. Well, rehab was tough. Between scar tissue and blood clots, I came out of the gate pretty fast and seemed to be doing really well. But then getting to the final stages where I am completely functional and without the pain and everything, that took well over a year. And so that really slowed down the idea of let's jump back in 6 months and let's go do the left leg. So however, now we are, whatever it is, 3.5, 4 years out. And this past spring and winter was just really a pain. It would just flare up on me, and in the meantime, due to all of the arthritis, the friction in there tore my my meniscus, so that you could feel the flap would get caught, and then all of a sudden my knee would just feel like it was going to go out from me, and then it'd be painful for the next couple of days. So anyway, I decided it was time to just get it done. So as we are speaking right now, as I'm recording, it is June 5th, 2024. I had my knee replaced at 10 a.m. this morning. And as I'm recording this right now, it is, oh gosh, what is it? It is 8:49. Okay. Oh, by the way, you can see I still have my hospital registration tags on me like I'm some kind of dog. So anyway, that's the story. Now, I knew this surgery was coming, and so I was thinking, how am I going to do shows? What am I going to do this summer? And it just occurred to me that, sometimes you just have to rehab. Sometimes you have to go back and you have to fix things. You have to heal things because sometimes you ain't right. And in this case, my knee wasn't right, but sometimes our marriage isn't right. Sometimes our family's not right. Sometimes our faith is not right. And so we have to really think about, well, what's involved to get it right or to get it healthy. And so that's where the idea of, well, I've got something really plain and simple that we can speak from. I've got this knee rehab thing, and I'm at the very beginning. So let me tell you, I don't have any clue how it's going to work out, but I'm going to try to put some things in order. I'm going to try to do the work, do the exercises, and I will give updates on it. I'll even bring in and measure at different times how things are going, and we'll just go from there. But along with the knee, we're not going to spend the entire time talking about my knee, okay? I am going to take other concepts of faith and family and just spiritual growth, and we're going to talk about, okay, what does this mean? Why is it broken in your area of marriage? How about your faith? Then let's attack it with maybe a tool, a method, an approach, a mindset, something to that effect. All right. So that's the deal for Strong Dads this summer. It is the summer of Rehab 2024. So hopefully you'll get some nuggets out of this that will be helpful to you. Before I go any farther, let me thank Quality Auto Mart, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and 4Speed on 50 for sponsoring the Strong Dads show. Okay, let's get right to work. When you realize that there is something that's broke, something's not working, and you're going to decide to do something about it, here are some things that I think are important to get in order. One of the very first things is, just like when you set a goal, when you do something new and you want to, it's going to be there to improve your life, you have to have measuring tools. You have to have measuring tools, all right? And so, right here, I've got some measuring tools that I'm going to be using on a daily basis to check to see how my range is going. I mean, this is going to measure out my in this case, my extension to see how flat I can get my leg straight, that is, okay? And then I have this big old tool here who actually was invented by my doctor who did my surgery. Shout out to Dr. Swank, Beacon Orthopedics. That was not a paid for. In fact, I paid for that one. So anyway, this is an invention of his, and it's a very simple little invention, but this is the idea here that I can, and I'll show you at some point in time how to do it. I just don't want to take all the time right now to do it and bore you to death. But you sit down on this and you put your heel up like so here, and you just pull it back as far as you can, and you measure your flexion, okay? I hope I said that right at the beginning. So this is going to measure my flexion, all right? How far I can bring my knee up or my heel into my rear end, okay? There are other tools that are involved, but they're not necessarily measuring tools. Remember I told you my last surgery of my leg, I struggled. I had scar tissue buildup, and I also had blood clot issues. And so one of the other tools that I have to go with is this pulsator that I wear through the day, and it pulsates and moves fluid around in the calf, especially when you're doing a lot of sitting. It helps to move it around, all right? And so I've got that. Actually, that goes on both legs. You know, those wonderful compression hose that you wear is just another tool that you use to help keep the lymph fluid and the blood more compact and not pooling in capillary beds and then kind of getting stuck or swelling in the area more than you want them to. All right. All right. The second thing that you need to wrap your head around is, you know, rehab is about doing the work. It's about doing the work. And, you know, some of us refer to ourselves as, you know, we're good patients or we're not very good patients. I would say I'm a good patient from the sense of I want to get it done. I'm probably a bad patient at following the exact protocols. And so I will kind of just, in these kinds of things, I do a lot of training and stuff myself. And so I will be working some of my own protocols. And again, as long as they're not going to go against what the doc says, that's the deal. So, but it is really what's more important is actually doing the work. If it's 2 times a day, 3 times a day, once a week, whatever the protocol calls for, to actually do the work rather than just getting stuck and then wondering, you know, months out why you had problems. My scar tissue that I formed on my right leg, that's kind of a natural thing that happened. And one thing I learned from that, one of my, I believe would be my mistakes, is I probably was not aggressive enough at doing some of the stretching that needed to be done at the far ranges. But you got to be careful there too, right? You don't want to tear things, but you do want to tear some of that or rupture some of that scar tissue so it doesn't lock down on you. But I probably needed to be a little bit more assertive and aggressive at breaking some of that far range scar tissue, all right? Another thing, guys, when you're talking about trying to rehab things, you've got to put in proper rest. If you're working on a marriage, all right, if you're working on a marriage, and we have couples that come into us all the time, and maybe there was an affair. And when they come in, oh man, it's just blaring right in their face. It's everything they can think about, can't think about anything else. And so we give them the work to start doing. The problem is it consumes them 24/7 because of the hurt, right? Just like this leg of mine is going to be hurting a whole lot more than normal. And so it will occupy my thoughts. And the more it occupies my thoughts, the more I'm going to try to do something about it. The problem is sometimes you overdo. And like we see this in the marriage work. So, you know, we've given this couple these tools, and one or both of them are just working it and working it and working it to the point where they go, it's all we ever talk about. Can we talk about anything else? Can we just take a break? And that's actually a really good point. You know, your body's going to heal at its rate, not your predetermined rate. And so it's important that you understand the rest and know how to start incorporating that, all right? Another part of this is understanding the grace that's involved in the healing process, the grace. You know, there are certain protocol or benchmarks that I'm supposed to hit with my little measuring tools here. You know, by 2 weeks out, I'm supposed to have my leg out this far and my knee up this far. These are benchmarks. My goal is to hit them or surpass them. But there's a chance that even with all the work, I'm not going to surpass them. I may not even meet them. And so you have to be careful not to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, none of this stuff even works, so I'm not going to do any of it. And so you give yourself some grace. Listen, I'm not quite where I want to be, but I am doing the work. And we try to just sit in that. And that's what that grace is about. Stop beating yourself up, or like in the case of a marital problem or a family problem, maybe you're not restoring that trust as fast as you wanted to. But are we working a little bit towards it? So that's the grace component that's really necessary. All right. And let's see, the last part of this is understanding the importance of being coachable. And so the coachability, I did not claim to be great at this myself. It depends on the area that I'm in. If I'm in an area that I feel like I have some knowledge, I'm not very coachable. All right. I tend to have a lot of years in it. And so I tend to jump to conclusions on what I think is best. And that is not always the good deal, right? That's not always right, because we don't always know everything about everything. And so, at some point in time, you have to humble yourself and say, hey, do you know better than I? And this is a humbling, not just in rehabbing this busted up leg here that I have, but this is also the humbling in helping a marriage. So many couples will not walk into marriage therapy or coaching because they go, oh, none of that works. I know how to do what I need to do. And the truth is, if you knew how to do what you need to do, you would have done it, right? And so it's not so that you don't know what you're doing, but the coach is there to help kind of set some boundaries, set some vision and destination, and then get some sort of plan or pathway forward to reach that. And so humbling yourself to be coachable is critical through this process of healing, whether it's the knee, whether it's the marriage, whether it's a family, or whether it's a spiritual hurt of some sort. Learning to be coachable. One of the greatest things to humble yourself on and in really is God's word. God created this knee of mine. God created marriage. God created family and parenting. And so I need to really humble myself to his word. When my knee is going to heal? When it heals, right? What I need to do is try to fertilize it the best I can. In other words, to make everything more likely to happen and for the good, whether it's better rest or better exercise or better nutrition. So there are ways I can definitely hinder it. But if I can do everything as well as I can, the body's going to heal itself. And marriage is the same way. If we do things right, naturally people will work back together. And same things with families and all of these other things. So those are some very important things that I think you guys, it would help you to be aware of. All right, let's talk a little bit about the idea of pride. Okay, so Proverbs 16:18 says, this is out of the NIV. It says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Guys, when we're broken, it is often really hard to admit that we're broken. It is often very hard. That's why addicts can stay addicts for such a long time. That's why people can do things and stay in denial for an extremely long time, to the point where they actually start to believe their own lies. And so it's this whole pride thing that I want to make sure we talk about, that if you're struggling in a place in your life, you might want to look in the mirror, and you might want to look at your level of pride. And that goes back to that coachability. Are you the one who you're not going to take the lesson, the instruction from anybody because you know better? And so I really think to start a process, losing weight, exercising, restoring in marriage, parenting your kids, the very first thing is to really check your pride at the door. Admit that you're struggling and you're having a problem. Admit that the things that you've done up to this point have not been serving you well. I mean, these guys, these are freeing. They are freeing. You no longer have to be captive by your lies and your ego. So a strong dad, a real man, is quick to say, I screwed up. I don't know the answer. I need help. Right? So those are core stones that sit in the foundation of the rehab process. So anyway, that, my friends, my strong dads out there, that's where we're going to start here this summer. We are going to be getting updates again on the measuring from the knee itself to see how we're doing. We are going to be tackling different sayings and different areas where people struggle, like, pride before the fall and all these kinds of things. We're going to be tackling those kinds of things. And we're going to be incorporating God's word into this work, right? So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you understand what direction we're going to be heading for the summer, and these things would be helpful to you, all right? So again, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank the one and only Casey's Outdoor Solutions, Quality Auto Mart, and 4Speed on 50, located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. I also just want to thank you guys, our listeners out there. We get questions, we get people responding back, or just with the idea of, hey, I listen to your show, I really like this. And so if you like what you hear, share the show. Get it out there. Do me a favor right now, subscribe to the show. Subscribing is how we actually build the search engine checks, and so that helps us. And by helping us, you're going to help other people by just making it easier to get to. All right. So we want to thank all of our listeners. If you need some help, give me a call at 812-576-7625. So at this point, go out there and be a strong dad. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home. Strong Dads wants to thank Quality Auto Mart and Service for being a proud sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Started in 1985 and going strong for all these years. Recently, Quality Auto Mart has transitioned from owners of Mark and Nancy Repke to longtime employee Fred and Lorraine Venus. For all your automotive needs and golf cart needs, check out Quality Auto Mart, located across from Indian Lakes on Highway 46 outside of Batesville, Indiana. Strong Dads wants to thank 4Speed on 50 for sponsoring today's show. If you like classic cars, great food, and a taste of Americana, you have to visit 4Speed on 50's Diner, located on Route 50 in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Stop in today for a meal and an experience you won't soon forget at 4Speed on 50's Diner.